Hi, I'm Todd.
This is R1videos.com.
Awesome. High five. Welcome to another one of our how-to videos for Yamaha R1 sport bike riders. Today we're going to show you everything you need to know on how to remove and replace your spark plugs. Today we're doing this job on a 2004 Yamaha R1. Let's get started so you can get your fix. We've started by removing the mid fairings off of the bike. The next step we're going to do is we're going to loosen the radiator from the mounting bolt or mounting points. There's 3 bolts. I'm going to lay that forward to access the spark plugs. Okay, so you have 3 mounting points for the radiator. One at the bottom. It's a 10 millimeter on the back side and a 5 millimeter Allen on the front. So there's your lower point. Allen wrench is already on the bolt there. And there's 2 10 millimeter guys that are going to grab the frame at the top of the radiator. We've got to remove all 3 of those. Right there. 10 millimeter. And there's going to be another one on the other side in the identical place. Next, we're going to get the bolt at the top. And you twist the forks a little bit. It's kind of tight, but it'll give you just enough room to get that guy loose. Break it loose there. And we're going to remove that completely on both sides. There's a collar type washer that comes out with it. Hang on to that. Very important. Don't lose that guy. The other side. Same thing. Turn the forks to access. Get a little bit of room in there. And support the radiator with one hand a little bit. And remove the collar bolt. You're going to take the radiator and gently rock it out. Pull it forward as much as you can. It's not going to come too far. It's attached here to the coolant line. So you're basically just accessing yourself a little bit of room so you can get in from the other side and pull your coil plug caps. From the left side of the motorcycle, with the radiator pulled a little bit forward, we're going to start pulling the plug caps. And these are going to be a little bit tough to get off sometimes. You just kind of twist and pull up. And that is your plug cap. I go ahead and just pull all those at the same time. A lot of people say do one at a time. I just pull them all and kind of get it out of the way. You're going to reach in, same thing, twist and pull. Number 2, and on down the line. When it gets to number 4, it's going to be pretty hard to get to. You might go to the other side and pull that, but pull those all the way out. And I just kind of like to lay them out in the front there between the radiator and the engine. Okay, so again, pulling the number 4 plug. I'm getting it from the left side of the bike. Some people may find it easier if you're not a skinny arm little twig like me to get your hand in there and pull that sucker out. You can access it from the other side. I can do it all from here, so that's the way I go. It's a 5/8 spark plug socket. Of course, that's going to grab the spark plug. If you use a regular 5/8, it's not going to pull the plug out. It's probably not going to be deep enough either. But this is a regular 5/8 and a short extension. I'm going to take and drop that into the number 1. You're going to feel it engage on the plug. And take your driver. I'm going to back that thing out of there until it's loose enough to spin off. That is not bringing my plug out with it, so we're going to do a little trick with some fuel line I'll show you here. Okay, so My spark plug wrench, which was not taking my plug out, kind of a bummer. We're doing a little trick with some fuel line. Your plug's just down there floating around. Smash your fuel line down on it, pull your plug out. You can also use this for reinstallation. It actually makes it pretty easy to do. Drop it down in the hole. And when it comes time to reinstall them, just spin that guy till they grab, and you can do that until it gets tight enough to put your wrench on. So just a little trick with the fuel line. And as we get down to number 3 and number 4, this actually comes in quite handy for pulling those out of there. So we're going to check those plugs. They actually look like they're burning just fine. Good color, not a lot of corrosion, doing what they're supposed to do. I'm going to set that to the side and go to number 2 and pull that out. Well, there's number 1, so we're on number 2. It's in there. This is not extremely difficult. Just be patient. It's kind of hard to get a good grab with everything. Once that breaks loose, you can pretty much remove your driver and just use your hand to spin it, or again, I like to use that fuel line. Just get it on top of the plug, press, and you can spin that guy. You've got a lot of play. Makes it pretty easy to do. So basically got number 2 out. If you don't have just fuel line laying around your garage like I do, you can get this at any auto parts store. I want to say this is about 1/4 inch line. This is a clear line. It's normally going to be black or gray, but just any fuel line will work, and it does the job fine. They actually make a little tool that's a little rubber spark plug remover that's got a little handle on the end that I've had and used that works really well. But that's just a little cheater, make the job easier. We see we're burning well, good color, not a lot of corrosion or anything up in there. So we're pretty happy with the way those are looking there. And moving on to number 3. Also a note, if you're taking these out to see how the bike's running or burning cylinders, you might want to lay them out in a particular order. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Maybe draw on some cardboard or some paper so you remember which cylinder each plug came out of, so you can tell if they're all the same or if one's burning rich or lean. On most modern fuel injected bikes, they're all going to be pretty much the same, unless you've got problems. Okay, so dig in for number 3. It's in there pretty far. Again, try to make a little bit of room. Yeah. All right. And again, you should be able to just break that loose a couple of turns. Once it's loose, take your driver out and just spin it by hand. It's just a lot easier. Again, my plug wrench is not grabbing the spark plug, so we'll use our little cheater fuel line here. Alright, and 3's out. Again, looks fine. We're going to go all the way over to 4. It's getting kind of tricky because of space. Couple turns to break it loose, and then it usually will spin out with your fingers. If it's not spinning out with your fingers, then somebody hasn't used anti-seize grease on it, or somebody's cross-threaded and putting them in. I'm going to try from the other side because that's fighting me there. So if you can't get to the number 4 from the left side of the bike, you can just move around and either try from the front or from the other side. This is usually the most difficult one because you've got a lot of stuff in your way over here as far as the radiator hose and the wiring harness. Alright, so here comes number 4, and looks the same as the others, so we're doing really good. So we've removed our plugs, checked them. Normally we would be installing the new plugs, putting some copper anti-seize on the threads, before we reinstall. These are all sitting just fine, so we're not going to replace them with a new plug, but I would highly recommend that every time you take a plug out, you put a new plug in. Alright, so when we're reinstalling the plug, we don't want to just drop it down into the plug hole. Take a chance on bending the tip here and screwing up your gap. So we're going to gently put it down in the hole and spin it till it catches. So that's started. And I'm just moved to number 1 because it was the easiest. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what order you put them back in. I always just go till it's down to the gasket and then go about a quarter of a turn. But there's probably a torque spec not to over tighten. Not that anybody's going to put a torque wrench on spark plugs, but. All right. So to answer the question of when to replace your plugs, according to the Yamaha genuine manual here, your spark plugs are going to be checked at 4,000, replaced at 8, checked at 12, replaced at 16, check at 20. So basically check every 4,000 miles or every oil change if you're following the manual, and replace every other oil change, which is pretty close to what I do. Again, we've just checked these and they're all fine. We're not going to replace them. Maybe next time around we'll put new ones in. So don't worry about cleaning your spark plugs. If they look dirty, corroded, suspect in any way, shape, or just replace them. Cleaning a spark plug is kind of the old school thought. They're cheap enough to just put a new one in every time. Don't cheap out when it comes to your engine. Good luck getting a torque wrench in there. I just go until they come on the crush washer and then go a quarter turn past that. Remember, don't crank down on these. Last thing you want to do is break or strip a spark plug down in the cylinder. So 9.4 foot-pounds, or just get them down kind of tight, finger tight, and then give them a quarter turn past that is usually just fine. Okay, so this is just a tip. When we're replacing the spark plug cap, this is obviously for demonstration. You're going to want this to click a couple times and lock in. So when you're pushing those down, don't just softly put them down on the plug, because the rubber boot's going to grab the plug, but you really want that engagement where it really clicks into place and that doesn't come out of there. You really got to kind of fight that out. Just make sure when we're putting those caps back on, you're pushing them down good and tight. So we're going to start and do that actually. Pull these back up into place, one at a time. Alright, so those have all locked down pretty good. A little twist to make sure the wires are all running where they need to run, which is just kind of up and out of the way of the radiator. We're going to put that back. If you can see in there, all of our wires are above the plug caps. Reassembly here. We've got all our spark plug caps down tight. Spark plugs in. We'll go back up with this. So we're going to lift that up. Okay, so as we lift the radiator, there are some wires that come from the wiring harness to the headlights or the front of the bike. You want those to be on the outside of the radiator tab, not between the tab and the frame. So just make sure you don't pinch those when you're pushing the radiator up into place. I'm going to start by setting the lower bolt to kind of hold the radiator, and I'm just going to run that in and loosely put that in place. That's going to kind of hold the radiator for me to install the upper bolts that hold it to the frame. Again, we've got the collars and the bolt. Make sure you put it back together with those. I'm going to turn the handlebars to get a little room. Okay, so these are the wires that you don't want to pinch. So just make sure those are on the outside. We're going to kind of maneuver the radiator up. Just give it a little push, get it in line, and loosely install this side. Okay, so we've got our collar, our bolt over here. Again, just kind of loosely installing that, and then we're going to tighten everything up once we make sure everything's running how it should be. Got that started. Again, we've tightened those down. We've made sure we haven't pinched any of the wires between the radiator and the frame. There's probably on your bike there's going to be a zip tie that you can adhere this to the top of the radiator. If it's not there, don't worry about it. This bike's got a lot of miles on it. Some of those things have come off and not been replaced. So you'll probably want to go ahead and start the motorcycle, make sure she starts up and everything's fine before you replace the mid fairings. After it's started, everything looks and sounds good. Replace the mid fairings, you're going to be good to go ride. Okay, so now you've seen us remove and replace all 4 spark plugs. We did them all 4 at the same time, or removed all 4 at the same time. You generally want to do one at a time. Reason for that is you don't want anything to fall down into your open cylinders there. It's going to be best if you do them one at a time. I keep my bike pretty immaculate, so we just pull them all 4, replace all 4. It's a little easier for me. All right, once again, we've just shown you how to remove and replace the spark plugs on your 2004 Yamaha R1. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll answer your questions in the comments, and you can go to r1videos.com for our email address. You can find us on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter. I'm Todd with r1videos.com, and we'll see you next time for another how-to video. Thanks for watching.
Oh my God.
Oh no.